Welcome to MMA Dogs. My name is Hector, and as always, I want to thank all of our clients and all of our supporters. We've got UFC on Fox 13, Dos Santos versus Miocic. That is going to be one heck of a fight, and I cannot wait for these fights taking place tonight. So, first thing before I get started is you always want to make sure that you don't bet more than you can afford to lose. Of course, we go into it with best of intentions, but you never know what can happen. And then the second thing is you want to check your local laws and government. And the third is much respect to all the men and women who step into the octagon. So, with that being said, let's dive right into this fight card. So we got Anthony Birchak versus Ian Entwistle. And with this fight, Entwistle is going to want to get the takedown and go for the submission. Just a very determined, very specific game plan for Ian. And then with Anthony, he's going to be able to, I believe he'll be able to survive and any early onslaught by Ian and take over with his striking and be able to have a dominant position if it does hit the ground and be able to get back on the feet and keep it standing. So I like Anthony here for the win. I like Birchak for the win. But I believe there are better spots to bet on this card, so I'm going to say it's going to be a pass on that fight. But if I had to bet it, if I had to put money on it, I would say put it on Anthony, and I definitely think he will win the fight, possibly by late TKO stoppage or by decision. Okay, so Dustin Kimura versus Henry Cejudo. Cejudo, very the gold medalist and coming into the UFC, but I haven't really been impressed with what I've seen from Henry in MMA. In wrestling, yes, but in MMA, not so much. So he comes with a lot of hype. Comes with a lot of people, a lot of eyeballs, and a lot of attention. And with him being a gold medalist, he deserves a lot of respect. But in MMA, that's a whole different ball game. So I think that Dustin Kimura here is primed for an upset. So I hope and I believe he can do it. I definitely believe he can do it. That Kimura can pull off the submission or win by having Henry quit. Having Henry maybe give up his back or get caught with something. I don't think Henry in this particular matchup deserves to be the favorite that he is. Sitting at minus. I see him at minus 230 right now, minus 275, minus 280. I don't see it. I don't see it as I watch him fight. And with Dustin, he's not a world beater by any means or some champ or anything like that, but he is young and he is improving and he's a gamer. He goes in there to fight. So I'm going to go with the upset here. If I had to bet it, I would say Kimura. I'm going to bet him small, and I can see him getting the upset here. So Dustin Kimura for the win. I could see a submission. I could see a submission here or a decision. For the next one, we got David Michaud versus Garett Whiteley. Michaud should win this fight. Younger, fresher fighter with more upside, more on his more talent. With Garett, he does have the ability to finish fights, whereas Michaud is more of a decision fighter. But ultimately, I think it's Michaud who has more to offer in this fight, and I think he can control the fight anywhere he wants. Just has to be careful not getting caught with anything and playing it safe. So I'll say Michaud for the win. If I had to bet it, I would bet Michaud, and I think he'll win by decision. Joe Ellenberger versus Bryan Barberena. This one, do not bet written all over it. If I had to bet it, I would bet on Bryan. But Joe, very much like Henry, he hasn't really impressed me. Maybe, it's tough for a guy who and Joe Ellenberger, who had, a lot of potential and a lot of talent, and going through the battle that he's gone through, and his health issues and all that is very admirable. But he's going in there against the best fighters in the world, so I definitely can't bet Joe. And I think Bryan here will pull off the upset. So if I had to bet it, I would say Bryan, but I'm not eager to bet this fight at all, because I can see Joe grinding out a decision. For the next one, Derek Brunson versus Ed Herman. Ed Herman, we know what we're going to get from him. He's a tough guy. He goes in there, he fights, and he squeaks by sometimes. And with Derek Brunson, we've got a guy who actually can do the very same thing, except from a more of a wrestling standpoint, like he did against Chris Lieben. And the fight that really, for me, put Derek Brunson on the scene was when he fought Yoel Romero. And oh man, what a war that was! And I've seen improvements from Derek Brunson from when I first watched him fight up until now. So I definitely like Derek Brunson to win this fight. I think he'll win a decision, and I think that I believe here that he will be victorious tonight. So Derek Brunson for the win. He's got a big price tag, which I wish was lower, but sometimes that's the case. So definitely Derek Brunson. Drew Dober versus Jamie Varner. Another interesting fight. Jamie Varner, what a flukish type of a loss against in his last fight against Kraus, and I don't see that happening again tonight. I really don't see it happening again. And with Drew Dober, he's a guy who doesn't excel in one particular thing. Just doesn't excel in one particular thing. And with Varner, he's got the power, he's got the wrestling, and I see Varner possibly getting a knockout, but definitely getting the decision. So my money will be on Varner, and I expect him to win. Ben Saunders versus Joe Riggs. Do not bet. I definitely think Ben Saunders will win. So if I had to bet, I will bet on Ben Saunders. But I'm not really too eager for this one. I can see Saunders submitting Riggs. Riggs making a late career resurgence, but Ben Saunders, I think, very similarly making a resurgence, and it's like Ben Saunders' focus right now. I think if it hits the ground, Saunders could submit Riggs. If it stays standing, Saunders could get him in the clinch, beat him up. So definitely like Saunders here, but I'm not too eager about this one. Just kind of want to see how that plays out. So Saunders for the win, but do not bet. If I had to bet it, it'd be Saunders. Claudia Gadelha versus Joanna J. I'm just going to call her JJ. She's okay with that. So JJ against Claudia. Claudia has a problem with her cardio. She's got very good wrestling, very good jiu-jitsu, but her cardio, oh man. And JJ, she is a gamer. She's ready, goes in there, throws down. So if I had to place a bet, it would be on JJ, and I'll put a small bet on her just because she is so talented and just a real fighter. I mean, just goes in there and fights, and I like that. So until Claudia can show me that her gas tank has improved, which is usually very difficult for fighters to do, I'm not interested in betting her. So unless I'm convinced she's going to win, but I'm not convinced right now. So JJ for the upset and JJ for the bet. John Moraga versus Willie Gates. Oh, yeah, John Moraga all day on this one. I see John Moraga finishing this fight, and I definitely see him at home, stepping up, finishing it in the first round by submission. So John Moraga for the win here. Big price tag, but it's warranted. Matt Mitrione versus Gabriel Gonzaga. Very interesting matchup here. Mitrione has definitely improved. I remember when when he fought Kimbo Slice, and I bet him against Kimbo Slice. I think the price is actually what it is right now. I think I think Mitrione was the underdog in that one. Actually, he was the underdog in that one. But anyways, Gonzaga's hope is going to be to get the fight to the ground and submit him. If it stays standing, Mitrione's going to knock him out. And I think in one of these exchanges, Mitrione's going to land and knock out Gonzaga. So Gonzaga, he's got the talent, but he's been very on and off in his career, focused, maybe not focused. So I think he's just happy, and I don't think he's very hungry to at this point of his career. So I like Mitrione here. I got to lean Mitrione. If I had to bet it, it'd be Mitrione. I'll put a little something on Mitrione too. Alistair Overeem versus Stefan Struve. Whew, man. Overeem is the definition of a do not bet. I mean, this guy, yeah, he might win, but man, just gets knocked out. Stefan Struve appears to be hungry, appears to be ready to fight after all the health stuff he went through, and it's Struve's fight to lose here, in my opinion. I think the odds are definitely not where they should be. I can see the reason why people would bet Overeem, thinking like, okay, he's bound to win, but can't trust that chin in a heavyweight fight. Stefan Struve, big long reach. I wish he would utilize it better, but I think in this fight he's going to come in motivated. A fellow Dutchman, and I think Stefan Struve will win this fight. So I got to back Struve here. If I have to bet it, and I'll bet it small on Struve for this fight. Definitely Struve. Nate Diaz versus Rafael dos Anjos. Man, it's too bad everybody agrees with me. Everybody's jumping all over dos Anjos. Diaz didn't make weight. And dos Anjos can use his wrestling to control the fight. And dos Anjos is very high-level jiu-jitsu, like Diaz. So he can defend that. Defensively, he'll be okay. I don't think he'll do too much offensively, but with the wrestling, he should be safe there. And his striking is coming along nicely too. So perhaps with a power shot, he could knock out Diaz, rock him, take him down, control him. Diaz, of course, always come to fight, and expect a good fight. But I like dos Anjos here, and I like what I've seen, the improvements I've seen from him from fight to fight. With Diaz, a bit of a layoff here. I just, his last one beating Maynard, not very impressive. I mean, it was impressive that he won, but it wasn't impressive against what opposition. So I like dos Anjos here, and I'll be betting dos Anjos for the win. And Junior dos Santos versus Stipe Miocic. Stipe Miocic. The interesting thing about Stipe is that he's a heavyweight who fights with a game plan. I mean, he just goes out there, follows the game plan, doesn't care what he looks like, doesn't care. He just wants to get the win. And with dos Santos, we got a guy who is at the top of the heavyweight division. There's only one guy higher, and that's Cain Velasquez. So he's right there, and I think he's coming back focused, rejuvenated, and ready to get the win. So I like dos Santos here. Definitely like dos Santos by knockout. And Stipe has shown that he can be knocked out, and not by the highest. Not by the highest level of heavyweights, and dos Santos is that. So I like dos Santos here for the win. By knockout, I say like round 2, maybe round 3. So UFC on Fox 13, no 5-star bets, no 4-star bets. There's 5 3-star bets. I like dos Anjos, Brunson, Moraga, Varner, and dos Santos. So dos Anjos, you can find him at -275. Brunson, you can find him at minus 355. Moraga, minus 440. Varner, minus 340. And Dos Santos at minus 340. So, pretty heavy favorites there. The bets, the first bet will be a prop bet. John Moraga wins inside the distance at minus 112. 1.68 units to win 1.50. Then there will be round robins of twos, 5 fighters. So total of 10 parlays at 0.75 units each. So total bet is 7.50 units to win 5.02. Rafael dos Anjos, Derek Brunson, John Moraga, Jamie Varner, and Junior dos Santos. So those 5 guys in all possible combinations. Round robin of twos. And a round robin of twos, this will be 6 parlays because there's only 4 selections. 0.18 units each. So total bet is 1.08 units to win 8.85 units if all of them win. Matt Mitrione wins inside the distance at plus 110. Stefan Struve wins inside the distance at plus 260. Joanna Jedrzejczyk at plus 225. And Dustin Kimura at plus 225. So grand total on the night is 10.26 units to win 15.37 units. So, best of luck on Saturday night. I know I definitely want to win. And, these guys are definitely the ones I believe are going to win here. So, I am going to go ahead and knock on wood. And I'm really looking forward to a win here. So I hope you guys all have a great night, a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys all real soon.